Okay, just want to call our workshop to order. Today is February 22nd. It is now 6:37 p.m. And Town of Southington Board of Finance, this is a workshop to go over assessments and tax collection department, recreation and youth services and senior services, followed by Department of Public Works, followed by the fire department. And we're here to understand a little bit of insight into what's in those budgets. And like we always say, this is important to us here on the Board of Finance, but it's also really important. A lot of people from the town like to see these presentations because it gives them a glimpse into what the different departments are doing. So consider it a good learning experience, and you always learn something new about what's going on here in town. So let us get right to it, and we'll start with assessments and tax collection.
Hi, everybody. My name is Teresa Babin. I'm the Director of Assessment and Revenue. Typically, I prepare remarks, but today I decided I wasn't gonna. I was just gonna wing it. So I know you talked about wanting to know the services that our departments offer. Yes,
Pages
sir.
29 and 31.
Got it.
Yeah, always.
Okay. All right. Just
This is one of the most popular meeting videos we have because people will stream it and look just to see what's going on in town, who the people are, what they're doing, just out of curiosity and just for informational purposes.
okay.
It's good, so
All right. Let's do it.
let's do it.
Yeah, so the services we offer in the tax collector's office, it's not really services necessarily. We collect the money. Approximately 82% of the town budget is collected by the tax collector's office. So that's the service we provide. We do it with a smile, and we try to make the experience as quick and painless for the taxpayer as possible. We are actually going to be switching credit card vendors, which is a big thing that's going on in the office right now. We're going to have a kickoff meeting pretty soon. I hope to be going live with the new vendor in July, in time for the new billing cycle. So they are going to be charging just a little bit higher of a percentage rate per transaction, but the company offers a multitude of additional services over and above what the current company does
On the reporting side,
on the payment side. So if you want to come into the tax office, or if you want to stay at home in your pajamas and make your tax payment with a credit card, you can do that from home. You can just go onto the website, enter your credit card information, and initiate a payment to us that way. And so we have that service now, but the company is not really keeping up with the technology that's available. They're not providing us with the level of service that we think the taxpayers deserve. So we are moving over to a company called Invoice Cloud.
Mr. Chair.
And instead of, I'm sorry.
A question about that.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. So, in terms of what's an example of something the taxpayers are not being provided right now that you think will get through our new vendor?
Yeah. So the credit card percentage rate is 2.45% now. It is increasing to 2.78%. But along with that, we are going to be getting an IVR service. It's an interactive voice response, so people will be able to go and use a phone number and enter all the information on the phone for just $1 service charge. They are going to be getting a $1.95 e-check fee, so they can go onto their bank's website, initiate a payment through their TD Bank account, let's say, set us up as a payee, and go ahead and initiate payment that way. They are also, the thing that I'm most excited about is the messaging that this company offers. They will be, if you have to opt in for the service, obviously, and this switch is going to come with a lot of marketing, a lot of customer outreach, a lot of, hey, we have a new system, please look at it, take advantage of all that it offers. But they are going to be offering emails, text messages if people opt in for those services, telling them, hey, your tax payment is due no later than August 1st. Try to make a payment before it becomes delinquent. They're going to send a text message or an email for the January real estate installment that comes due that people tend to forget about. So I think that the taxpayer is going to be able to sign up, have their credit card information stored in the system so that the next time they go ahead and use it, it's just a couple quick clicks of their mouse and their payment will be made. So, and as far as the reporting side of it, they're going to be a lot easier to work with as well. There's all different kinds of ways to run reports to see what the collection rate is and what the percentage is of e-check payments versus credit card payments. I'm looking forward to it. They are well known in the industry, and they've been working with our software provider for integration so that when the taxpayer goes to the website and they click on make a credit card payment, it's going to look like the town of Southington's website, but it's actually going to be this credit card vendor. So I'm looking forward to seeing all what they have to offer us.
Thank you.
Okay.
How many
Hi, Tony.
people use that service? Because I guess I would never use it because it's 2 to 3%.
Yeah. You'd be
On your taxes,
surprised.
yeah.
You'd be surprised because people that haven't paid for a plane ticket in 15 years because they get the miles that come with making payments on their credit card. Some people don't have money in their checking account to pay their taxes, and they know this is the only way to get it done. The e-check feature for $1.95, I'm sorry, that's if they have money in their checking account. But the credit card feature allows them to be able to make that tax payment, save themselves the 3% interest, and get an extra 30 days before their credit card bill comes due. So people, there are quite a few people. I mean, we collect millions. I don't have the exact number, but millions of dollars via credit cards come in, especially in July.
That's not a bad thing. I'm just saying.
No.
So the credit card fee is paid by the person, by the payer?
Yes.
Because I don't see it in the budget, so it's on the payer side.
Right. State
So it says your
statute.
taxes are $1,000. If you opt to pay, they're going to be $1,005.
Yes. State statute gives us the ability to transfer those fees off to the taxpayer.
Yeah, I do use that service.
Yeah.
Pretty much because I wait till the last minute.
Yeah. I really think you're going to like the new system, so
Yeah.
I'd be interested to know what you think. Any other questions? Yeah, hi, Sue.
Hi. When the service is being used, are we certain that it's 100% secure?
100% secure.
So that we don't have any of those fraud scam things that are coming in across our line?
Yes.
Good, thank
Yep,
you.
the industry standards that are expected for this type of service are in place with this company as well.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Okay, so I can go through the budget for the tax side if we want to start with that. I don't really have too many, if any, red flags. It starts off with salaries. Jim, do you want to say something? No? Okay. Starts with salaries, which go up because of contracts, obviously. We haven't paid any seasonal or overtime money in July for quite a long time. We used to have, on Thursday nights when we're open late, we used to have staff members stay for that Thursday, and then they also used to work a full day on Friday because we wouldn't be able to be short-staffed on Friday during a collection month especially. But we have found that that's no longer the case. I don't know if more people are using the credit card system or they're using the mail, but the level of activity doesn't require us to pay overtime anymore, so we're doing without that. Longevity, meal allowance, we had budgeted for all of the employees to take meal allowance when they worked on Thursdays, but a couple of them don't. So I was able to reduce that. And everything else stays the same. Collection services, when we have a tax sale, that's the line item that pays for tax sale. We just had one this past September, and it was very successful. So we won't have one this year, but we will have one again in 2024. So we're going to keep that money on hand. Advertising is another state statute. We can't do away with that line item yet because the newspaper lobby works really hard at the state capitol and insists that we have to file our legal notices in a newspaper instead of just online. So we're going to keep that line item. Office supplies is staying the same. That's the big chunk of our expenditure comes from that line item because it includes the printing and the mailing of the bills that happens in July and January. Is there a second page? Yep. And on the other side is dues and conferences, which we have a decent amount in because 3 of us in the tax office are certified, and they now, effective last January, require continuing education. So we will have to be going to conferences and meetings to accumulate those credits.
Do you see anything? It doesn't look like the budget has any sense of differentiation in the amount of taxes that we traditionally collect, the rate at which we collect. So you haven't seen any, because of the economic situation, you don't think there's going to be any issues with that? The process that we use, the process that is in place to collect the money remains the same whether, there's good times or bad times. So we don't really change that. And what we do doesn't necessarily cost extra money either. The tax bills are the tax bills, the delinquents. No, how much revenue is being collected?
So you want, the collection rate. It's so I pulled a report to compare collections through the 17th.
Okay.
Of February. So last year, it's a little lower than last year. Last year, we collected 97.45% of our, at that point, current grand list. So that was the 2020 grand list. When I pull the report effective the 17th of this year for the 2021 grand list, it went down to 97.05%. It's not a lot. But we may see that. And what we don't collect in terms of current taxes, we may see in interest, lien fees later on down the road.
When you go get it, Okay.
Okay. That's it for tax. So moving on to the assessment side, we offer a couple services on the assessment side, mostly to help people become aware of any exemptions they might qualify for based on their veteran status or elderly. Assessment exemptions are income driven. So we try to get the word out. We, again, have to file legal notices. We reach out with letters if they haven't applied by the end of the filing period, which is May 15th. We're in it right now. February 1st to May 15th is the filing cycle. So come April 1st, we send letters to the people we haven't heard from and make sure that they're aware that this is their year to apply. We're also going to be doing a little outreach with our business community so that they have a broader understanding of the personal property declaration that's due from them every October. I had suggested a personal property audit program, but we decided to go a different route after comments from town council. So we are going to meet with the businesses that choose to attend these informational sessions. We're going to produce some sort of video. I can't wait to see what it entails, but I'm going to be me. Yeah.
Same, pay your taxes.
Do I pay for hair and makeup through the office supply budget or?
Send it to my office.
Okay. So we will be doing that. That's going to be posted to the website. We're going to be holding informational sessions. I am working with Barbara at the Chamber of Commerce to try and send out some reminders to the businesses that these informational sessions are coming down the pike. And hopefully we'll see an increase in the personal property declaration amount, which then, might increase the personal property revenue. So that's it for programs in the assessor's office. I can go to the budget now.
Excuse me, I have one
Yeah.
question. When you were saying the tax reduction programs for, you said the elderly
Yep.
and the veterans, we have disabled as well, don't we?
Yes,
Yes, thank you.
included. Thank you
We
for
have to make
mentioning
sure
that.
we have
Yep,
to include them.
Absolutely. And there are local options too, not
Yes.
just the state mandated ones, but the local options as well. Southington is really one of the better situated in terms of elderly and veteran and disabled taxpayer exemptions. So I think we do a really good job
Thank
with
you.
that program.
So for the public that does watch, if you are concerned or think you might have an opportunity to include yourself in some of these exemptions, just call the assessor's office. Those people know the answers. They can help you and tell you if you qualify or not. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. So, same thing on the assessment side of the budget. The numbers look pretty much the same, although where I decreased the meal allowance on the tax side, I had to increase it due to the increase to $15. And then reval services went up. This is a line item I carry forward because the next reval is going to be a full reval, so it's going to be boots on the ground, hopefully inspection of close to every real estate parcel here in town. And it's going to cost a little more, so we have increased the amount that we're putting away each year, and it just carries forward from year to year. I also just put in invoice for our new aerial system. The flyover happened in November when the leaves were gone and there was no snow on the ground. So we have updated imagery now, and that payment comes out of my reval services because it's an instrument for revaluation. If we can't get to certain properties, then we can at least look at the outside and make measurements from that imagery. It's wonderful.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought you were going to ask a
So
question.
what do? They fly over? They
Yeah. Yep, they fly
in a
over.
certain pattern and
Yeah.
pick up all the pictures?
Yes, and we have sub 1 inch imagery, so it's crystal clear. If you zoom in to, someone's back deck and they're eating dinner, you can almost
So
see.
you pick a good day? And
Yeah.
it looks-
Yeah, it's very clear. So we get a lot of our outdoor measurements that way, so it saves us the time and the cost of leaving the office.
the eye in the sky.
Everyone tonight will be going on to see what the chairman was doing in his backyard when the picture was being taken, hopefully raking leaves or something.
That's why that's why we do it in November and not July. We don't want
Yeah.
people by their pool or anything.
Contracted services is the line item that I have for when I need to pay appraisers, or if it used to be for attorney fees for, but now we have a corp counsel, so I'm sure those fees might decrease, but it's always nice to have. We don't typically need it except for the year following a reval, but we do keep it on hand in case something comes up. And what else went up? Gasoline, of course, went up. We do have one vehicle that we trade on and off. The deputy assessor does a lot more of the inspections than I do, but we do share one vehicle. Dues and conferences, same thing. The cost of everything, as you know, is rising. So when we have to go to these things, the cost to attend them is also increasing. So there are 2 of us in the assessor's office that need continuing education credits, so that's what that line item is for. Travel reimbursement I was able to decrease because I would use that line item when I was going to court and needing to park in the garage, and back when I was using my own vehicle. So those expenses would come out of that line item. So I'm no longer using my own vehicle, and court is Zoom all the time. So I figured let's decrease some of that because I don't really see it ever changing. So that's
We
That's
decreased
the
it by
assessment.
down to 0.
Well, yeah, we could.
That's good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any questions on assessment? Because then it's just the Board of Assessment Appeals, and their budget didn't change at all. We actually, I think, tomorrow night, no, it's in March, the Board of Assessment Appeals is meeting, and I think we have 10 appeals that they'll be hearing, and this is the budget that pays their stipend and pays for any office supplies they might need, and it hasn't changed.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
all I
you.
got.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Sure thing.
Okay. Okay, our next one, recreation, youth services, senior services, all the services.
Good evening, everyone. Dave LaPrade, Director of Recreation, Youth, and Senior Services. Late late last spring, early summer was when I sort of took over the role of these three departments. In June, the rec department moved out of town hall, and our offices moved up to the calendar house. So my staff at the rec department is an administrative assistant, so she is up there now with the calendar house staff, which consists of a program coordinator, an administrative assistant 2 position, 2 full-time bus drivers, as well as a new position we just created, which is an admin 1 position / bus driver. That position filled a previous position that wasn't filled from last year. So in my months of being there, I talked with Mark, and I decided that I felt the need of having someone up at the front desk as well as someone we can use on the road when needed to pull off to help out with the bus drivers. So that's working out fantastic. So we're happy with the way that panned out. As far as part-time staff goes, for the rec department, we have approximately 80 to 100 seasonal part-time staff. At the calendar house, there's a handful of volunteers that help out with certain programs, the membership association, et cetera. So there are other people helping out besides our full-time staff. Just a quick overview of the 3 departments. So the rec department, obviously our role is to provide some activities and special event services for the town. On the rec side of things, also, I should mention, we handle pavilion rentals in the parks, field rentals in the parks from outside groups. We also coordinate with the youth leagues that we sponsor for field space, stuff like that throughout the season. Quick overview of some of the programs. I'm not going to bore you with all of them. In the rec department, we have a handful of exercise programs from Zumba to yoga, water yoga, a running program for kids, which sounds funny, but this program right now is taking off tremendously. We have about 40 kids signed up right now with 40 on the wait list, which is shocking for a running club, but it's taken off. We also have two main sport leagues for the adults. It's a softball program, which runs in the summer and the fall, as well as an adult basketball program. A handful of enrichment educational programs. I've worked with partnering with certain outside groups such as LL Bean. Shop right now we're working with for nutritional programs for kids and adults. That's working out well. We have 2 main summer camps that take place. Our playground camp, which we do 3 sessions each summer. We max out at 130 kids for that. And also one of my favorite programs, which I started about 7-8 years ago, Camp Rise, which is a special needs camp in the summer. That takes place for 2 weeks in July. Started out pretty hot. We're having about 20 kids or so signing up for that. We're down to about 10 to 12, but we're going to continue with that. I work with the Board of Ed as well with coordinating things. So that is one camp that I'm very proud of. We have a youth theater program, kids entertainment series in the summer, free program for kids that takes place at the pavilion, at the drive-in, spring and summer tennis programs, multi-sport camps, track and field. So that's just an overview of some of the programs we offer. Like I said, I'm not going to go into all of them, but just wanted to give you a quick mention of those.
Hey, Dave. Sorry. Quick question. How do you think we compare to neighboring towns in terms of what we offer, the breadth of our programs?
I think pretty good.
Okay. It seems so, by the way.
Yeah, it's good. It's like I said, our staff is myself and Julia from my administrative assistant. Some of the bigger towns have certain people for rec programs only, coordinators for that. But I think we compare well. We're doing good with that. Obviously, I like to see more things. And I'm open to offering new things at any point during the year. So we don't just create a summer program, cut it off. If something pops up, we'll add it in. So
great, thank you.
Sure. One thing to mention too is we utilize the school space a lot especially during the winter months for our programs. Now that we're up at the calendar house, we're utilizing that space a little bit more in the evenings when it's closed. So we have certain programs taking place there throughout the year when the facility is shut down to the members. And we'll continue that too as we move along. So that's the rec. Calendar house, going too quickly. Things seem to be, from what I'm told and what I'm seeing, coming out of the pandemic real well. Obviously, that department was hit pretty good with that. Current membership is at 5,856 residents. It's open to town residents only, free membership. New members each month is increasing. January, we saw a little bit over 50. Right now, we're around the 40 range for February, so that's good to see that new members are coming in each month. So at the Calendar House, we provide energy assistance to residents, tax and Medicare assistance, AARP courses. There's a handful of weekly programs that take place each week. Exercise programs, bingo, which is very popular on a Friday afternoon. 80 to 100 folks show up for that. Our computer lab courses, dance classes, setback, cribbage, stuff like that. Pickleball. We have an indoor pickleball court in the main hall 3 times a week. Those folks meet in the afternoon. I'm sure most of you know pickleball is taken off. So they're very happy to have that indoor court space during the cold months. Bus trips are provided to the members and to the community as well. That is run solely by volunteers up at the Calendar House. They do a fantastic job with that. We have certain things like the monthly probate forums where the probate judge comes in, talks about certain topics. In retrospect to that, we work with healthcare facilities to provide blood pressure screenings, vaccinations, hearing screenings, foot clinics. Our dial-A program, their bus service, that's for 55 and over folks, or individuals with disabilities 18 and over. We are currently servicing about a little over 200 residents that take part in that. That could be for shopping, medical, social rec facilities they got to go to. So with that, we have 2 main bus drivers, a part-time driver that helps out. One thing to mention with our buses is that our buses are on a grant program. So each year we apply for a grant. The state has been covering that bus each year fully. I shouldn't say fully. This year coming up, they are. We're waiting on 1 new bus right now. So we're going to continue that program. Currently, we have 5 buses that we have utilizing those. So we'll continue that. We go out of town with our buses, Plainville, New Britain, Meriden, Cheshire, Bristol, Farmington. Our daily lunch program, which pre-pandemic was seeing probably 40 to 50 folks a day, that is taking a hit. That's probably around 20 right now. We also offer the grab and go for folks, which they like. We were doing that during the pandemic. We kept it going.
Is that free? Is that paid for by?
That's residents pay for that. That's $2.50.
Okay,
so it's cheap.
Like a subsidized thing, or?
Right. So yeah, that's and one new thing we're doing too with our buses is we started like these mini bus trips. And that can vouch for that. They're very popular. We'll go to Lenny and Joe's using our buses. We'll go to bowling lanes, shopping, Christmas trees. So we're going to keep those rolling out throughout the year. And intergenerational programs now we're starting with youth services, which I'll mention through the Calendar House and the seniors and the kids. We're getting those programs rolling out, which seems to be going well. Youth Services Department, quickly. So they provide assistance to youth and families in town. Could be for counseling, crisis intervention, STEPS. Obviously, we all know about STEPS. Megan Albanese does a great job with that for the prevention and recovery groups and support. The staff has been working diligently with the Juvenile Review Board in truancy cases. Unfortunately, with the school system, they're seeing a lot of those issues right now. So staff has been busy with that. So yeah, John Ishmael is our new youth service coordinator up there. He has been doing a great job keeping up in the schools with principals, outreach programs with them. He's actually rolling out some new programs through Major League Baseball and the NFL for teens. So those will kick off in the springtime. So things are looking up in all departments. So just a quick overview with those. Any questions?
Just quickly, if you add up your 4 departments, the revised budget from last year as opposed to this year, it's the same. There's no increase. It's like 1.2 million. It's 1.2 million this year. So has the sort of synergy between them caused us to cut costs, or
Yes,
what's your secret?
I definitely think it's helped out drastically. You'll see in my budget when I start going through some line items, like you said, things have stayed pretty much the same, but We've rolled some things from the rec department into the calendar house budget to combine those, to use those more effectively. So yeah, I can definitely see, I think that is helping out.
No, thank you.
Okay, so as far as the rec department budget, not much of a change at all. I'm going to highlight some of the line items that we moved over into the calendar house budget, which you will see that increase in that area of their line items, such as program services, vehicle maintenance, gasoline, office supplies, program supplies. So those were all reduced by 100% in the rec department, put into the calendar house, which you'll see that increase there. We also have the community celebrations that we've been doing that for years. That is on page 92. That has stayed the same. And then organized rec, which is we sponsor the youth leagues. Those go to helping out each league for their costs, such as the referees, the umpires, the equipment. Those have stayed the same as last year. The Park and Rec Board this year will be reaching out to the leagues to get some information to reevaluate that, to see if we're got the right number there. It goes on with registrations and certain expenses they have. So we'll get that going this year. Maybe we tweak that in the next year's budget. So yeah, that's basically with the rec. Not much of a change. Calendar house, same type of thing. The increases were in those line items that we moved over. And that is basically it with that. There really wasn't too many increases. Youth services, very basic. No changes at all except for one line item, the program services, which used to be included a couple of years back. I brought that back because we want to see more programs created there. That'll help pay for some vendors and so forth. That's it. Any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, Sue.
I noticed in the program subsidies for organized recreation that there are more opportunities for boys than girls in the overall dollar amounts that are given. Because this is public, is this supposed to be Title IX?
Well, we do. There is girls softball. Basketball has both girls and boys.
Yes, but the dollar amounts are so significantly different. Is that because there aren't as many that want to participate, or
Dollar amounts for each league are dependent on. There was a formula that the Park and Rec Board came about probably about 5-6 years ago. Like I said, going upon registration, their expenses, it was computed that way.
Do we have waiting lists for girls in these things?
To get into the
Yeah.
programs? No.
No, so we don't have more girls that are interested. Should we perhaps think about maybe? I know we have a lot of girls interested in rugby in the high school. We have a lot of girls with field hockey. Should we?
Well, we
look into
do offer a
those
field
other-
hockey program through the rec.
Remember, most of these programs are third-party programs that we subsidize. Remember,
Oh,
we don't
okay.
get involved in advertising for them. They're third-party programs.
Okay.
Recreation programs wouldn't be on this particular page. They're on the recreation page or the calendar house program page.
Okay.
These are separate organizations that all our kids probably played in. Some of us did. We help subsidize to make sure the parents, their cost goes down. That's what that's for.
Right.
Okay. So we don't have to have equal representation there. Do we have equal representation or valid representation, equivalent representation in the other areas?
Yeah, on the rec side, definitely. I didn't mention the field hockey program. We do have that.
Okay.
It took about a 2-year break. We're bringing that back this late summer,
Yeah,
fall.
we can understand COVID breaks, but
Yep.
yeah. Okay, as long as we have opportunity.
No, definitely, we do.
Because when I was little, there weren't any. There were no opportunities for girls at all. So it's nice to have
Yep.
something. Thank you.
Dave,
bet.
how big is the girls softball league? How many are there now?
In
400?
the,
Is it
no,
that large?
more than that.
More than that.
I would say in the 800-900 range.
Yeah, it's large.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that program, I mean, all the leagues are run great. And like Mark said, they're run by their own groups. We oversee them, supporting them in certain ways. But they all do a fantastic job. That is one of the best, well-known
It is.
girls
By far.
softball leagues in the state.
Other towns are jealous. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yep. Anything else?
Next year, you're probably going to see the calendar house and recreation budget in one. As you notice, we started the transfer this year. Next year, you'll probably see it as one budget. We're going to keep these services separate, but
Right.
the calendar house and recreation will probably.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Public Works.
Good evening. Annette Turnquist, Director of Public Works and Town Engineer. As always, I have several Public Works related budgets to present to you tonight, but I'll start with a brief overview of some of the services that the departments provide. I'll first cover the engineering and sewer admin departments, which basically work together. We do in-house design of town projects. We review plans submitted to the Planning and Zoning Department for approval. We review and approve excavation permits. We oversee many consultant-designed town projects, provide in-house surveying, inspect construction projects, oversee the MS4 permit. We review and process sewer permits, process sewer billing and payments, provide sewer account information for countless closings. We provide engineering assistance to many other departments and address countless resident inquiries every day. Moving on to the Highway Parks Department, we do winter maintenance such as salting and plowing. Not quite so much this year, but that's okay. We do street sweeping, road construction, drainage system installation and repairs, the leaf collection program, road maintenance such as pothole filling, roadside mowing, curb repairs, trash pickup. We do park, trail, and grounds maintenance, pool opening, closing, and maintenance throughout the season. We do plantings throughout town, Christmas decorations downtown. We run the transfer station, including issuing all the permits. And we also do a lot of in-house mechanical services on all of our equipment and vehicles. One special aspect I'd like to highlight is how the Highway Parks Department is always willing to help other departments and also the Board of Ed. In addition to our many regular duties, we always make time to do things like moving food for community services. We address minor plumbing and carpentry issues at the library, the Barnes Museum, and other facilities. We move lots of heavy office furniture, maybe not me personally, but the crew. For probably almost every department, we've done that. We'll do minor vehicle repairs for other departments and oil change, brakes. That department will buy the materials and we'll provide the labor. Since, as you know, the town doesn't have a maintenance department with carpenters or plumbers or custodians, so we try our best to do what we can. Many of the Highway Parks employees have their own special, unique talents, and they're always, willing to accomplish some kind of challenge that we put them up to. I'm also very proud of the relationship we've built with the Board of Ed. I've seen a huge improvement over the last 15 years that I've worked for the town. If the Board of Ed staff has the time, they're always very willing to provide us with electrical work, more specialized plumbing, things like that. In return, we help them by filling potholes in the school parking lots. We'll do minor drainage repairs and anything else we can do to assist them. I think the reason I wanted to point this aspect out is in the times where the prices of all the products and services is increasing, I think these mutually beneficial relationships are critical to getting work done in a timely and cost-effective way. So I'm very proud of the departments for fostering these relationships. Now, I'm not going to go through every account because there are a lot of them, but I do want to discuss a few of them with significant changes. I'll start with the engineering department budget. There's really only 3 accounts I want to mention. This budget overall is $747,398. One of the accounts I want to talk about is regular wages. That's seeing a $26,553 increase, which is 3.9%. But this, of course, is a contractual obligation. Fortunately, a lot of that has been counteracted by the decrease of the contracted services account. That has a decrease of $23,962. And yeah,
I said it last night. I'll say it again for people watching. When you see those line items, those are for 2 years of raises, not for 1 year of raise. So when you see 3.9%, it's for 2 years of raises.
Of 2.33. Yeah. Last year, the contracted service account included this almost $24,000 amount, and that was for the street scan road survey, which is an every 3 years expense. So we had it in there last year. We don't need it this year. The following year, you'll probably see that in the third year again. But for now, that's being taken out, which counteracted the raises for the most part. And then the only other account I want to mention, just because it's kind of strange, is the gasoline account. I know, it actually has a $290 decrease, which again, I realize is strange because all the prices have gone up, but because the prices have gone up so much, well, thanks. I just took a closer look at the amount that the engineering department actually uses, and I'm comfortable with the volume we have, and it just resulted in a slight decrease, so don't worry, Highway Parks will make up for it. And moving on to the Highway Parks Department, that budget overall is $4,005,584. A lot of these increases are contractual, but I do have several accounts I just want to mention. The regular wages account is increasing by $111,369. Again, as Mark mentioned, this is a couple years of increases, 2 years of 2.33% increases. The temporary seasonal wages account, that I have going up by almost $20,000, and this increase is due to two things. One of them is the minimum wage increase to $15 per hour on June 1st, and that'll affect what we pay our 6 seasonal employees. And then the other thing is we found this year that we have to pay our temporary leaf workers $20 an hour to get enough interest. It's still cheaper than using the staffing service, but paying them $20 an hour, we were able to get 8 direct hires this year and just supplement with the staffing agency to make up 7 more to make up to the 15 that we need. So that seems to be more efficient when we can hire our own employees, and it's also more cost effective, but it did require increasing that account a little bit. The overtime pay account, that is also going up by $8,000, also due to the pay raises. Longevity has gone down a little bit because we had a retirement. The on-call pay, that account is increasing by almost $10,000. The contract has increased the on-call pay from $200 a week to $350 a week. Meal allowance, that's another one I have a slight decrease for. The contract did increase the amounts for the meal reimbursements, but I've always budgeted for 17 storm events. I brought that down to 13 storm events, which I'm comfortable with. This year it could actually be much less, but I think 13 is a good estimate. It's a safe budget number. Boot and gear allowance, that went up almost $7,000, also another contractual obligation. The contracted services account is seeing a $15,000 decrease, and that's because last year had a one-time implementation fee for work order software that we bought, so that's been taken out. The ground maintenance account has also gone down by about $4,000, and this is because every year we do court maintenance on the tennis courts and the basketball courts, and our vendor comes out and does an estimate, and this year's maintenance is just a little lower than last year's. Moving on to the equipment maintenance account, I'm requesting a $13,620 increase. This brings the account in line with previous years and the projection for this year. This is one of the accounts that I'm always scrambling at the end of the fiscal year to transfer or request an appropriation. And again, we do try to do a lot of the work in-house to keep the cost down, but material costs, of course, are going up as well, so I would appreciate that increase if possible. Building maintenance has an increase of about $7,500. This is mostly due to the trash disposal cost increasing. I've asked for a small increase in the vehicle maintenance account, just about $1,400. It'll bring us in line with previous years. This is another account that we could always use extra money in towards the end of the fiscal year. There's lots of repairs to make. Our gasoline account. That for highway parks is going up $97,000, which is almost 100% increase. And that's just using the projected prices for gas and diesel. Unfortunately, this department does use a lot of fuel with all the operations that we do. I've decreased the sign account by $10,000, which accounts for 1 flashing speed limit sign instead of 2. We'll still have enough to cover 1 location if something arises, but to account for some of the other increases, I think this $10,000 decrease is justified. I'm requesting a $3,500 increase for office supplies, which is mainly due to the increased price of the first aid supply service that we have. And last but not least, for highway parks, the radio lease system. And I'm proposing a $9,699 increase in this account, and that's for a new initiative to add GPS to 61 highway parks vehicles. It accounts for a one-time hardware fee of $4,298.67, and then there's a monthly service fee of $339.99, which totals $4,079.88 for the entire year. And this really is going to increase the safety. When the crew goes out and they plow, they're plowing alone. They're out there all hours of the night. They're clearly working in bad conditions. We've had cases where trucks have gone off the road. We've always been lucky enough where the driver hasn't been injured and they've been able to use the radio to call into the garage. But God forbid something does happen to them and they are unconscious or can't for some reason call. You know, they could potentially be out there for a long time with nobody knowing. They all have their assigned routes. Some of them are on the edge of town and there's nobody really passing through, especially in the middle of the night. So I feel that the GPS would allow us to see where the trucks are and if one is stationary for an
Is somebody
extended period of
monitoring
time.
that? Somebody's back at headquarters looking at a screen?
Yep, it comes with a whole program, and you can set up alarms. So, you know, if a truck doesn't move for 15 minutes, an hour, I mean, whatever parameter you want to set, an alarm can go off, you know, so you don't have to necessarily sit there and monitor it, you know, throughout the whole storm or what have you, but you can set up various alarms and things like that. So I think that would be a good thing for the safety of the crew.
Question, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just, so you said it's a one-time hardware fee, and then how long does that hardware last?
It's a lease like we have now. It's through the same company we have our radios through, Goosetown. So I'm not sure if it would include any upgrade. Oh, thank you, Jim. We haven't, the radios we've had for, I'd say at least 5 years, and we haven't really had to upgrade anything.
Okay.
And these use basically the same equipment, which is why we're going with Goosetown. We explored other options, but the hardware fees were more expensive because it was like a whole new system. So we're basically just adding on to the system we have.
Thank you.
Okay. The snow and ice budget is proposed to be the same as the previous year. The bulky waste budget, I have an increase of almost $10,000, and this is just for the overtime pay, again, due to the contractual raises. The tree maintenance budget, that's staying the same as last year. For street lighting, the equipment maintenance and the utilities are staying the same, but there's an almost $5,000 increase for the performance contracting lease payment.
Just to remind the board that the reason why the utilities is staying the same is because the electrical is locked in until August of '24. So if you're asking about, that's the only utility that we
That
can
was for
actually
you.
count on this year.
Moving on to the sewer admin. This account, I have $3,064 more proposed than last year, and that is just mostly for regular wages, a few other incidental things, but the bulk of it is
Excuse me.
contractual.
It's on page 133, sewer.
Right, and then I usually just go through a couple of the capital items. We have the townwide roof replacement program at $300,000 a year. This year on our list is the Southington Girls Softball League concession building and the maintenance shed. That won't take up the whole $300,000, so there will be more added to that list. Townwide HVAC replacement and generators for $100,000 per year. That's going to include the generator for the new library, should a grant not be able to be obtained.
And that, are you doing capital or sewer?
Capital.
I'm sorry, I thought I heard her say sewer. I apologize.
Sewer.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah, sewer was just the
I'm sorry.
the salaries.
I misled your page number. Sorry about that. You know what page the capital's on?
Get tabs.
You do get tags. Once the budget's adopted, it's too expensive.
Not sure I go in the order of the budget anyway.
No, that's okay.
All right, townwide paving projects, $100,000 a year. This year, we plan to do a new parking lot at the Barnes Museum. The repair replace sidewalk account, we're proposing $250,000 a year. This is a decrease from last year, so we may need to curb some projects, but we'll do the most we can with the funds we are given. We have an electrical vehicle charging station project. The total project cost is $190,917, but the town cost is $66,200 after Eversource incentives. And this will provide 5 locations throughout town, mostly near the trail. We have various equipment for the Highway Parks Department, including a dump truck, an F600 utility body, and that's for the mechanics for servicing vehicles on the road. We have 2 heavy-duty plows to replace 2 that are more than 20 years old. We have 2 trailers for smaller equipment and a tire machine, which will allow the mechanics to change and repair tires in-house. And I just want to pause here for a second to point out that these are some of the things that we do to promote efficiency. Having the service truck for the mechanics, they'll be able to, if something happens to the truck but it's still usable, they can go out to the site and make the repair on the road rather than having them drive all the way back into the garage for the repair, especially on some of those plow routes that are on the outskirts of town. That'll be useful. The 2 trailers for the small equipment, that's so employees can go out on their own and not always have to work in pairs. And then the tire machine, which allows the mechanics to change and repair the tires. We're always looking for equipment and opportunities like that to do more of our own work in-house, and that certainly saves money. Moving on with some of the capital projects, we are asking for a salt storage building. This year proposes $487,500 toward the replacement of this building, which is 35 years old. It was built when the town was much smaller and we didn't need as much material, and now it's kind of bursting at the seams. We have it filled up higher than it really should be, and it's affecting the building structurally, so it really does need to be replaced. We have Phase 5 of the Parks Master Plan, which is funded through the ARPA. It's $600,000, and for the following year, we plan on working in Panthorn Park, doing some drainage improvements, parking and drive improvements, similar to what we did in Rec Park, play area improvements, wooden guardrail installation, and the addition of a sand volleyball court, along with some other smaller changes. Also in the capital, we have various road improvement accounts. We've got the widen resurface drainage account with $300,000, LoSiP at $280,000, Town Aid Road for $250,000, and these all contribute to the annual road projects in addition to the referendum money. I just want to thank this board for your consideration. I hope that what I've put together demonstrates that we want to do as much as we possibly can for the residents of Southington, but still trying to be fiscally responsible. Before I turn it over to Kari, who's here to discuss the sewer operating fund, do you have any questions for me?
Just sort of an overall comment. If you add up, the major departments, engineering, highway, etc., it looks like you only increased spending by about 5% year over year, and it seems like in fact, pretty much all of it is contractual or inflation.
Correct.
So, just an interesting comment, because I think quite a lot of this budget is going to be like that. So, second thing, just a minor thing on the cap. The capital is paid by it's either ARPA or the fund balance, right? Or transfer in.
Yeah, budget reallocation.
Budget, sorry.
Grants, budget reallocation, ARPA money for fund balance.
Zero in terms of,
Affects the budget is there's 300.
Last thing, it's a minor point. Do we need 5 electric vehicle charging stations if we have to pay $66,000 for it? It's probably not the time to do it. because, you know, the amount of people who have electric is relatively small, number one. Two, why should they get, you know, preferential treatment to the vast majority of us who, you know, don't think diesel or gasoline is not such a bad idea. So do we need to spend that is what I'm trying to ask you.
Can I take that for a second? That's a policy decision, and she works for me. So that was a policy decision that came down. If the policymakers wish to change that, we fully support whatever they decide.
Thanks.
How does that work, though? Like, I see the one at Stop and Shop, and I know they're private, they put it out, and that's part of their business schema. That's fine. But there's advertising on it and things like that. Is that how these would work too, or?
No, I don't believe there's any advertising on it. That was never discussed. But the user of it will be charged.
Okay, the user gets charged. Who pays for the electricity? Southington would pay for the electricity. The user would get charged, and who keeps the fee? Through a provider. Some provider is leasing the equipment, and
The system had to be set up where that would happen. At this point, right now, the town of Southington has 4 of them, which, as you know, cost to it. Current policy is that third-party vendor of town of Southington.
okay, we'll sort that out.
And I mean, if you're curious, just to give you the 5 locations, because they are spread out throughout town, it'll be Canal Street near the Linear Trail, South Center Street near the trail, the Bank of America lot near Apple Alley, Riccio Way, and the Municipal Center down by the trail. So, and each would have 2 units, and there's 2 charging ports on each unit. Any other questions?
No, thanks for what you do for.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kari?
One of our most indispensable departments, sewer department, is coming up.
All right. Good evening. Kari Williams, Superintendent of Water Pollution Control, here to discuss the operating budget. Quick, brief overview of what the department does is we pretty much collect any water that comes out of homes, businesses, restaurants, and pretty much treat the water and remove any hazardous material prior to sending the water back to the environment. Something I wish to highlight that we did last fiscal year or last calendar year is that we treated over 1.853 billion gallons of water. So it is a lot of water that we treat on an annual basis. Something that we've done to increase the efficiency of the plant and the budget. This past fiscal year, we began removing grease from the treatment plant and pump stations ourselves instead of contracting out the work. Previous years, we would contract out the work, and the contractor would charge us approximately $1,200 per truckload. And, well, not even approximately, they would charge us $1,200 per truckload, and it would take approximately 3 trucks per cleaning. So this would cost $3,600 per cleaning. We do this task 4 times per year. Since we began cleaning the grease or removing grease from the plant and pump stations internally, we did a full cleaning in December, and the total invoice came to $258. So it's a significant savings. We go from $3,600 to $258. Brief overview of the proposed budget. Fiscal year 2024 proposed budget total is $6,704,008. Our current year's operating budget is $6,628,964. The current budget proposal is an increase of $75,044 or 1.1%. This is our third year running the new plant after the upgrade. I think this slight increase is indication that we're beginning to zero in on the true operating cost of the new treatment plants. There are a few accounts that we did request significant increases in. Two of them I'd like to highlight. First account is our refuse recycling hazardous waste account. This account is used to remove all hazardous material from the site, whether it's sludge, grease, or grit. This current year's budget is $750,000. We propose to increase this account to $950,000. This is a 26.7% increase. We had a 3-year contract with a contractor that expired in November. The economy is a little rocky at the moment, so we didn't want to, extend the contract too long without giving the economy a chance to, balance itself back out and be stuck with a higher, sludge disposal fee for the next 3 years. So instead of signing another 3-year contract, we signed a 6-month contract, and we're hoping in the next few months things will stable out a little bit and we can extend it a little longer. The 6-month contract was 26.7% higher than the 3-year contract, and that's where the 26.7% increase comes from in this account. The cause of the price increase, after talking to the contractor that we use, is mostly just the cost of fuel, diesel fuel, for shipping the sludge back and forth through the treatment plant to the site where it is ultimately disposed of, and also just energy cost on their end and chemical costs for treating the sludge. Second account I'd like to mention is our supplies chemicals account. This account is pretty much self-explanatory. It's used to purchase chemicals. Current fiscal year, our budget was $550,000, and we had a carry forward of $70,000 from last fiscal year. So that total $620,000. Our proposed budget for the upcoming fiscal year is $750,000. This is a 17% increase if you add the carry forward funds. The chemicals account is by far the most unpredictable account. Chemical prices are pretty much increasing across the board. I'll run through a few of the chemicals that we use at the plant. I'll run through them quickly. If anybody has any questions, by all means, just stop me. Polymers that we use for sludge thickening. I got an email on December 15th stating that the polymer used for sludge thickening was going up 15%, from $1.95 a pound to $2.20 a pound. So that's an extra $573 per tote, and they would not commit on their pricing, or they would not commit to pricing for the second half of this second half of 2023. Polymer for phosphorus removal is going up from $1.84 a pound to $1.98 a pound. So that's an extra $321 per tote. When it comes to phosphorus removal, we use 2 chemicals for phosphorus removal. One is a chemical called polyaluminum chloride. The price increase on polyaluminum chloride is going from $2.30 per gallon to $2.58 per gallon, and there's a minimum order of 4,000 gallons per order for this chemical. So that's an increase of $1,120 per truck. The other chemical we use for phosphorus removal is a chemical called aluminum sulfate. The price of aluminum sulfate is going up from 95 cents per gallon to $1.27 per gallon, and they have a minimum order of 4,500 gallons. So that's an increase of $1,440 per truck. We do have a project coming up where we are going to install some orthophosphate meters, and quickly I'd like to just thank this Board of Finance for approving the funding a few meetings ago for that project. I think the orthophosphate meters will give us 24/7, readings on how the performance of the building is going. And we're hoping that this, in the long run, will allow us to fine tune the chemical dosing in that building a little better. And we may be able to save money on the chemical dosing side if all goes according to plan. So that was chemicals and sludge or hazardous material removal. A few accounts that we were able to pretty much deplete altogether were a lot of our pump station accounts. We currently have 5 pump stations under contract. One is Plantsville Pump Station. The second is West Queen Street Pump Station. You got Patton Brook, Judd Brook, and Old Turnpike. These projects are all pretty much under construction already. Plantsville is already complete. We're just waiting for O&M manuals. West Queen Street looks to be on schedule to be done by the end of this fiscal year. And Patton Brook, Judd Brook, and Old Turnpike are all scheduled to begin their site work in March. So those are only 3 projects that we have going on for the upgrades, but we already have funds allocated to these projects. The construction side for these projects were funded out of the ARPA funds, but the design phase of the projects were funded out of the operating budget. And seeing how we already have the funds allocated to these projects, we were able to, repurpose those funds towards the chemicals account and the hazardous removal account. Those are the 2 major accounts I wanted to bring up. A lot of the other accounts stayed pretty similar to where they were already at. So I'd like to just thank the board for your time. Thank you for your consideration on the budget proposal. And once again, thank you very much for the approval of the funds for the orthophosphate meters, because I think that's going to help out quite a bit. And I'm here to answer any questions if you have them.
I know we talked about this at Public Works at one point, but the residents of the community can help with the operation of the plant by not throwing any grease of any kind, any oils into your garbage disposals or down your sinks. Also, not by throwing any kind of wipes down your toilet systems or into the septic systems. Not septic, I'm sorry, into the toilet systems, so that nothing flushes down the toilet. That helps the operating system stay safer, healthier, cleaner, and cost us less money for repairs. Thank you.
Thank you. Couldn't have said it better myself, so. No
And
comment.
medication. We have a disposal site for medication as well. A lot of
Yes.
people think they'll flush it down the toilet, it finds its way to the fish. So there is a medication disposal site.
And that's in the police
Police
station.
department. Yep. Happy to no charge, drop it off, label it.
Yeah, just a quick note. Yeah, thanks for keeping it. Obviously, it all rolls out. It's only pretty much a percentage point increase, which is nice to know. But for people who've just moved to town or don't understand this, this is funded by the rates the users make. It's not by the taxes we pay. So if you're on a septic system or anything, which a lot of people on the ridges are, you're not paying for this. This is us, the ratepayers, are paying for it. So I wanted to point that out. Thanks, Gary.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now our fire department. Every time you come, the sirens will go off. They'll drive by. That happened other times.
It happened
you've been
already
here.
today, yeah.
Someone's blaming me for that, but
Well planned, Chief.
Is that on purpose?
somebody else wanted a snowstorm, but I'm not going to say
No.
So good evening. My name's Eric Heath. I'm the fire chief. Obviously, we have met before. I don't know if any of you have had the pleasure of meeting Scott Lee. He's now our assistant fire chief. We took my past role, so if you have any questions for either one of us. Just to give you a quick overview of the Southington Fire Department, the mission of the Southington Fire Department is to provide the residents of Southington and those who pass through it fire and rescue services, to protect life and property through prevention, code enforcement, fire suppression, rescue, and emergency medical services. Essentially, we're an all-hazards department. Just some quick 2022 highlights. Department composition, we have 37 career staff. It covers administration, operations, and the fire marshal's office, along with 2 civilian staff. Career staffing is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at a fire headquarters in Station 5 and Station 3 Monday through Friday with our Safer Grant firefighters. We do have 3 volunteer companies. Company 1 at 310 North Main Street, Station at headquarters has 13 volunteers. Company 2 in Plantsville, 128 West Main with 14 volunteers. And Company 3, 35 Clark Street, currently with 4 volunteers. In 2022, we answered 2,531 calls or incidents requiring our services. That was about a 6.5% increase over the year prior. 855 inspections were conducted from the fire marshal's office, along with 347 building plan reviews. Along that lines, in July 19, Ordinance Committee passed and the Town Council passed our fee review schedule, which is actually slowly, we're starting to see a little bit of an increase on our revenue side. Not significant, but we're hoping to track that and see how that's going to help offset some budgetary items. New ladder truck, which is funded through ARPA funds, is slated for delivery in December of 2023. And we just recently took delivery of our UTV ATV, which would assist us in wildland areas, brush fires, injuries, rescues in Crescent Lake, Racket Mountain, or in areas of town that we can't access with heavy apparatus or standard vehicles, say during a windstorm when roads are blocked. A specific service I'd like to highlight. Well, it's not actually a service that we provide, it's a service that helps us provide our services. We are proud of all of our personnel and the services they provide to the community, from emergency response, fire prevention, and community engagement. But however, the continued development of our training division and program cannot be overlooked. This is the foundation for the knowledge, skills, and abilities that allow us to provide these services. The redesign of our in-house training programs has been very well received as we put fireground skills to use in an engaging and effective manner. In addition to basic firefighting skills, we have incorporated ice and cold water rescue training, rope rescue training, boat training, in-house fire apparatus pump training, live fire training, and have secured a federal AFG grant for pump operator certification training for all members of our department. We have also submitted another training grant for aerial operator training, which comes at an opportune time for us with the delivery of the new ladder truck. Assistant Chief Lee, who stands behind me, is also working on bringing in additional officer and personnel development classes for all personnel. Overall, inclusive of in-house training and outside contractor training, in 2022, the department members' participation in training programs constitute approximately 10,000 hours of training time. And I'm very happy and proud of all members of the department for the commitment they've put into that. The budget proposal presented before you for fiscal year 23-24 is essentially a maintenance budget. Due to ongoing contractual negotiations, with the exception of our administrative assistant position and contractual step raises, there are no salary increases. You'll see that line item goes up by 0.3% this year. This budget maintains our current level of services while facing continued challenges with price increases, market volatility, supply chain issues, and fuel costs. I got specific line items on the next slide if we have any questions. Again, regular wages, there's a 0.3% increase, but 7% of that currently will be reimbursed through FEMA for the Safer Grant. The overtime increase is only 2% this year. It's relatively flat. It's looked to absorb some contractually obligated step raises, as well as a potential offset or buffer, if you would. It's very minor. I think it's just about $12,000 in the event the contract gets settled. We'll revisit that at that time. Longevity, the decrease is from a change in eligibility of multiple members due to retirements. The tuition line item actually did increase 100%. That's a contractually obligated item. I have more younger firefighters looking to take advantage of that program to obtain their associate's, bachelor's, and master's degree as afforded by contract. Training services increases are reflecting rising costs of training, contractual classes required for new members. Legal fees, you'll see that increase is significant over last year. We've already expended our legal fees account for this year. You'll see a transfer coming to you at your next meeting in regards to that. And that's just to help offset the cost of legal fees for the ongoing contract negotiations. Contracted services is probably one of our largest increases at 15.4%. It's needed to cover the increase in maintenance and testing contracts, or some of our testing contracts and service contracts, whether it's our security systems, testing for our hoses and ladders, basically due to fuel surcharges and supply and demand, as well as material costs have just increased phenomenally. We've been seeing anywhere from 5% increases per month in some categories. We'll get into it if you'd like, but heavy apparatus have been going up 5 to 8% a quarter at this point in time, where historically we would see 3 to 5% a year. Most vendors are only holding prices for 30 days at max on certain things. So obviously the going out to bid and requesting multiple quotes and getting the best bang for our buck for our equipment and supplies is what the assistant chief and I are doing on a daily basis. You'll see an increase in the portable radios account. This is as a result of technology upgrades, replacing some of our old portables, batteries that have expired and slowly fading away. They're unsafe to operate on the fireground. We've also consolidated the portable radio account and the Minitor radio account. A portable radio is a two-way radio. A Minitor is what we use to alert our volunteers. It's a one-way radio. It's a pager system. Working with finance, we consolidated that into one account because a radio system is a radio system. A radio's a radio. We may not necessarily need the Minitor account, but we'll probably more need it in the portable radio account as we move forward. Refuse and recycling is the increase as a result of awarded contract bid pricing. Program supplies increase represents increased costs of the fire prevention education materials, as well as funding for volunteer recruitment and retention items. Fire prevention since COVID has actually ramped back up. Obviously, we weren't conducting fire prevention education programs, so the school board's been back on board with that and delivering that, as well as private daycares and nursery schools as well. And the recruitment and retention sees a small increase. The committee's focused on obviously that concern, looking to support that more with advertising items, stuff like that. Uniforms, fire equipment, again, those are increases, direct result of vendor manufacturer increases out of our control. And then, wait, do you want me to bring up utilities and gasoline? I think we've done it. We are a large consumer of gasoline and diesel. That line item went up significantly, 72.5%, just based on the cost of gasoline and diesel and our usage. On an efficiency standpoint for gasoline and diesel on that, especially Monday through Friday during the day, we've revamped some of our dispatch protocols. Our battalion chiefs have been given guidance that with the 3 staffed units Monday through Friday during the day, we'll maintain 1 unit in service to handle the second call, plus it also reduces our road and travel time. We have been seeing significant increases in our maintenance costs on our vehicles, most predominantly our ladder truck, which has been out of service since November at this point. We've had $37,000 in unanticipated expenses on that line item as well. So again, your next meeting, you'll see another transfer request for that. So, but outside of the scope of this budget. I look forward to any questions.
Thank you. I
And I
appreciate
speak fast,
everything that you do. My question is related to the volunteers. In past years, we've had difficulties getting volunteers and then maintaining them. What are we doing at this point, and how are we doing? Is there progress in getting new volunteers and retention of them?
I would say in terms of recruiting and retaining volunteers, we're running flat. For what we're bringing in, we're also losing. The commission is very well behind a recruitment and retention effort. We have meetings every other month in terms of that. They have set 5 or 6 parameters or programs that they're going to attack first. Obviously, a media campaign. We did a video that you'll see in certain community events. You'll see it at the drive-in. They made outreach to the Southington High School in terms of attending a career fair, as well as reaching out to the local vocational schools. I think that is one of our biggest targets is the VOTEC schools, Vinyl, Wolcott. Those individuals may not necessarily have a college-bound career path. So if we can guide them towards either starting as a volunteer and then work towards them getting possibly a career in emergency services as well. There has been talk for several years about a cadet program. Logistically, and it hasn't really gone anywhere, unfortunately, but logistically and financially, it's not something that we can really put legs behind right now. The Recruitment and Retention Committee has actually put that off on the back burner and wants to focus on their programs first. But we are looking at the next couple of weeks, we're doing what we're calling an introduction to the fire service. We're having the police cadet explorer program come to the fire service. We're going to give them an overview of the Southington Fire Department, what we do, how we interact with the police department on a daily basis, and how those two worlds collide. To try and maybe engage them in a possibly a volunteer position with the fire department. Currently, we have 4 four individuals that'll be attending firefighter one, new volunteer recruits. But unfortunately, like on Sunday, we lost another volunteer because they aged out. So again, we're running about 1 for 1. We have 31 dedicated volunteers. Their training and dedication is beyond measure, and I'll take another 30 if I can get them. But it's a difficult. It's a national trend, unfortunately. So,
Do you have a day that you and or the police department that you know of go to the high school and do a recruiting day, as the military services do?
no, and that's why we're going in I'd have to pull up the date. I think it's tied into with Career Day on April, so we don't do it with the military.
So is it a day in the building?
It's a day in the
during
building.
The school day.
Yeah, it's during the school day. Yes, ma'am.
Good. That's a wonderful thing, because when I was there, I saw the military all the time, and I never saw anybody else, and it would be like there were
And then
kids that would be there.
if you go from, obviously, we'll go back into COVID. The
Yeah.
school board shut down outside agencies coming in with the exception of the military, because I do believe that's federal law that they have to allow them to come in. But we are starting to make inroads, and the doors are starting to open up, and we'll take any opportunity we possibly can.
Thank you. And then I have one other completely different question regarding calls. My mother lives in Wallingford. She's 100 years old.
God bless her.
She did and I've fallen and can't get up call, and it was legit. So to her home came a police vehicle, a fire vehicle, as well as an ambulance. What do we do in those situations? And is it, in my mother's case, clearly overkill?
Okay.
So-
And, well, if you, I don't want
do we
to,
do?
I don't want to speak to Wallingford, but the
Right.
Wallingford,
What do we
the
do?
Wallingford Fire Department operates the ambulance, so that's probably
Right.
where they go in conjunction. And it depends on the dispatch protocol how it goes in. If there is an issue where the person has fallen and is stuck in a position, or the door might be locked, the fire department will go. Our contracted EMS provider, as well as the PD, will be the first responders, and we go as a supplemental response if necessary.
So you would go if the others can't get in.
If the others
Just-
can't get in, or if, for example, the ambulance is on a delay, or the police department, the police officers are on a delay or tied up in other calls, it's a supplemental system. So,
Okay, so it's just not duplication of service.
correct.
Great, thank you.
Just a comment more than anything else. I know you're obviously subject to the inflation and everything else
Sorry, Mr. Morrison, we can't hear you.
that we all are subject to, and other stuff. But I appreciate the fact that you came in at 2.4% increase. I understand you didn't have contractual salary increases, which other departments did, but I do appreciate that number, especially taking into account, the additional gasoline and other inflation costs. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank
Thank
you for
you.
your service.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and we call this workshop closed. And just a reminder, the next time we meet is March 6th for our public hearing, and then we sit down March 7, 9, 21, and 22 for more workshops.